My name is Naomi Carter. I'm 32 years old, and the text that ended my relationship came in at 3:14 in the morning. I was dead asleep when my phone buzzed against the nightstand hard enough to pull me out of a dream. The room was dark, the kind of dark that makes every light feel hostile, and for a second I just stared at the ceiling, disoriented, trying to remember what was real. Then my phone buzzed again. I reached for it, squinting at the screen, and saw Evan, my boyfriend, 30 years old, charming when he wanted something, cold when he didn't. His message was short enough to read before my brain fully caught up. I'm at Chloe's house. Come pick me up right now, or we're done. I'm serious. You have 20 minutes. I sat up so fast the blanket slipped off my lap. At first, I honestly thought I was still half asleep. That maybe I'd misread it. That maybe Chloe was a male coworker, and my brain had turned the name wrong in the dark. But no, Chloe. The same Chloe he always called, just a work friend. The same Chloe whose messages lit up his phone too often. The same Chloe who somehow always needed help, always needed advice, always needed him. The same Chloe whose husband, Marcus, was expecting a baby with her in 2 months. I read the text again, then again. Something strange happened in that moment. I didn't cry. I didn't start shaking. I didn't spiral. I just went very still. Because hidden inside the threat was a confession. He wasn't asking for help. He wasn't stranded. He wasn't scared. He was at another woman's house in the middle of the night, and he wanted to see whether I would come running when he snapped his fingers. My thumbs hovered over the keyboard. I typed, "We're done." His reply came so fast it almost felt rehearsed. "Are you serious right now? I'm giving you a chance to prove you care." I let out one laugh. Not a happy one. The kind that escapes when something becomes too humiliating to be painful in the ordinary way. I typed back, "You're at another woman's house at 3 a.m. What exactly am I supposed to prove?" The bubbles appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, that you'll fight for me, that you actually give a damn. I stared at that sentence for a long time. Fight for you. There are phrases that only sound romantic if you strip them of context. In movies, maybe that line works. In real life, at 3 in the morning, when your boyfriend is in another woman's living room while her husband is out working, it sounds cheap, embarrassing, almost childish. I typed, "No, have Chloe drive you home." That's when the calls started. I declined the first one. Then the second. By the third, the text messages were coming in so fast the screen looked feverish. "You're pathetic. A real woman would come get her man. I was testing you and you failed. Marcus doesn't even treat Chloe this well. I'm staying here tonight then. Hope you're happy." And then, as if he wanted to crown the whole performance with one final act of disrespect, he sent a location pin. I opened it. He was really there. Actually there. At Chloe's house. The audacity of it almost impressed me. There was something obscene about how confident he sounded, like he truly believed I would panic and rush over there to rescue him from the consequences of his own choices. I took screenshots of everything. Every text, every missed call, the location pin, the timestamps. Then I sat on the edge of my bed with my hair falling into my face and the blue-white light of my phone turning the room into something cold and unfamiliar. For a minute, I just breathed, because anger does something dangerous when it first arrives. It can make you reckless. It can make you loud. It can make you do exactly what the other person expects. But sometimes anger sharpens. Sometimes it clears the fog. And in that silence, one name rose to the surface. Marcus, Chloe's husband. The man who deserved to know why his wife's house had my boyfriend in it at 3 in the morning. I didn't have his number, but I knew enough. A quick search, social media, mutual tags, wedding photos, a baby shower registry link. Too many smiling pictures built on top of a lie I was only just beginning to see clearly. I found his profile. My pulse was hard now, but not messy, controlled, focused. I sent one message. "Your wife has my boyfriend at your house at 3:14 a.m. He sent me his location and told me to come get him. Thought you should know." Then I attached the screenshots. Sent. The little check mark appeared. Seen at 3:31 a.m. After that, the room became impossibly quiet. No music, no TV, no dramatic speech to the ceiling. Just me, sitting there with my phone in my hand, feeling the weight of what I had just done settle into the mattress beneath me. Maybe some people would call it petty. Maybe it was. But betrayal has a way of clarifying your responsibilities, and I wasn't interested in protecting people who had no problem humiliating me. At 4:12 a.m., my phone exploded. "Naomi, what did you do?" "Marcus is here. He's losing it. I need somewhere to stay. Please." "Baby, answer me, please. I'm sorry." "Marcus is throwing my stuff outside." I read those messages without moving a muscle. Another one came in. "Naomi, please, I can explain." Then, he found us on the couch. And there it was. Not confusion, not bad luck, not an innocent misunderstanding. Us. I leaned back against the headboard and closed my eyes. He had done what men like him always do. He thought he could live in two realities at once. In one, I was the loyal girlfriend asleep at home, waiting to be tested and summoned. In the other, he was playing house in somebody else's living room, confident that every woman involved would somehow absorb the humiliation quietly. He was wrong. He kept texting. Please don't do this. I have nowhere to go. Marcus threw my bag outside. Chloe's freaking out. Can I come over? I turned the sound off on my phone, set it face down, and lay back down in bed. That was the part that surprised even me. Not the message, not the screenshots, not the ending. Sleep. Because once the truth arrived, I wasn't confused anymore. I wasn't waiting for an explanation that would somehow make 3 a.m. at another woman's house feel reasonable. I had seen enough. Outside my bedroom window, the first hint of dawn hadn't even touched the sky yet. The city was still dark, still holding its breath. Somewhere across town, a marriage was cracking open in real time. A fake power play had turned into a public disaster, and the man who had tried to make me prove my love was suddenly begging for shelter from the fallout of his own betrayal. My last conscious thought before I drifted back to sleep was simple. He really thought I'd come get him. I woke up to silence. Not real silence, just the kind that comes after chaos has burned itself out for a few hours. My phone was still face down on the nightstand. The screen lit up the second I touched it, like it had been waiting for me. 97 unread messages, 48 missed calls, 11 voicemails. I stared at the numbers for a second, then unlocked it. And just like that, the noise came flooding back. Evan first. You ruined everything. Marcus is talking about divorce. Chloe got kicked out. This is insane. You went too far. I scrolled. I'm literally outside right now. I have nowhere to go. Naomi, please. Then Marcus. I almost didn't open it, but I did. Thank you. That was it at first. Just those 2 words. Then another message. I've suspected something for months. She kept saying he was just a friend. I found his things in our bedroom. They're both out. I'm keeping the house. I exhaled slowly. There it was, confirmation. Not a misunderstanding, not a one-time mistake, a pattern. I kept scrolling. Random numbers. Evan's friends, I assumed. You're cold for that. She was drunk and needed help. Real women don't do this. I almost smiled at that one. Because somehow, in their version of reality, the problem wasn't a man at another woman's house at 3 a.m. It was me. Then Chloe. You had no right. You don't know the full story. You destroyed my life. I didn't respond to any of them. Because the truth doesn't get clearer when you argue about it. It just gets louder. Instead, I opened Instagram. And there it was. The part they thought would disappear. 11:07 p.m. Chloe and Evan at a bar. Glasses raised. Caption. Work nights hit different. 12:13 a.m. Here in his hoodie. Caption. Borrowed clothes just feel better. 1:02 a.m. Bathroom mirror selfie. His place. I knew the layout from the photos Marcus had posted months ago. Caption. Feeling myself tonight. 2:11 a.m. Onto couch. Wine glasses. Close enough to not need explanation. Caption. Netflix and chill energy. I took screenshots of everything. Every frame. Every timestamp. By the time I finished, the stories were gone. Deleted. Too late. My phone buzzed again. A new message. Marcus, my lawyer is going to need anything you have. I sent the screenshots without a word. 3 dots appeared. Paused. Then, you just saved me years. I set the phone down. Walked into the kitchen. Made coffee like it was a normal morning. Because that's the strange thing about moments like this. The world doesn't stop. The coffee machine still hums. The sunlight still pushes through the curtains. Your life doesn't collapse just because someone else's did. It rearranges. At exactly 12:06 p.m. there was a knock on my door. Not a polite one. Sharp. Repeated. I didn't rush. I finished my coffee, set the mug down, then walked over and opened it just enough to see Evan. And behind him, a woman in her 50s with tightly set lips and that familiar expression of someone who had already decided she was right. His mother. Of course. She spoke first. You need to let him in. No greeting, no hesitation. Just entitlement. I leaned against the doorframe slightly. No. Evan stepped forward, eyes red, hair a mess. Naomi, please, just let me explain. You can explain from out there. His mother cut in again. He lives here. I shook my head. No, he doesn't. Evan blinked. What are you talking about? I've been staying here for months. As a guest, I said calmly. Your name isn't on the lease. Silence. For half a second. Then the switch flipped. His mother's voice sharpened. This is illegal. You can't just throw someone out like that. I shrugged. Call the police. Evan's face tightened. Naomi, don't do this. I made a mistake. I tilted my head slightly. A mistake is ordering the wrong thing for dinner. I met his eyes. You were at another woman's house at 3 in the morning. His mother scoffed. She needed help. I let out a small breath. Then I'm glad he was there for her. Evan stepped closer again. Where am I supposed to go? I didn't even pause. Chloe's house. His jaw clenched. You know I can't go back there. Sounds like a you problem. That's when his mother snapped. I'm calling the police. Please do, I said. I'll show them the lease. Evan looked at her, then back at me. Something in his expression shifted then. Not guilt, not regret. Just realization. That this wasn't going to work. That I wasn't going to fold. They stayed there for another minute, maybe 2. Long enough for the silence to stretch. Long enough for it to become uncomfortable. Then his mother grabbed his arm. Let's go. They turned, walked down the hallway. And just before he reached the elevator, Evan looked back. You're going to regret this. I held his gaze. No, I said quietly, you are. The doors closed, and just like that, it was over. Or at least that's what I thought. Because at 4:38 p.m., my receptionist called upstairs. There's a man here asking for you, she said carefully. He says it's urgent. Family matter. I already knew. I slipped my phone into my pocket, hit record, and went downstairs. By the time the elevator doors opened, I already knew what I was walking into. Pressure, ego, damage control dressed up as intimidation. They were standing near reception. Evan, and 2 other men I had only ever seen in passing, louder versions of him, the kind who step forward first and think later. One of them looked me up and down like he was sizing up a problem he thought he could solve. Evan didn't bother with a greeting. We need to talk. I didn't move any closer than necessary. About what? His jaw tightened. You know what this is about. I shrugged lightly. No, say it. That irritated him. I could see it in the way his shoulders stiffened, like I had just broken the script he'd rehearsed in his head. You destroyed my relationship, he said. I let out a quiet breath. No, I replied. Your choices did that. One of his friends, taller, louder, stepped forward. Look, he said, voice low like he was trying to sound reasonable. This doesn't have to get messy. I almost smiled. It already was. Evan cut in. You could have handled it privately. Privately? I repeated. Yes, instead of running your mouth to Marcus. I tilted my head slightly. You mean telling someone the truth about what was happening in his own house? Silence. Then the other friend spoke. You didn't have to snitch. That word. Snitch. Like we were in high school. Like betrayal was just a game with rules you could bend if you were clever enough. I looked at him. Are we 12? That landed. Not hard, but enough. Evan exhaled sharply. She came on to me, he said quickly. I didn't even want to be there. I held his gaze. You stayed. He hesitated. Just long enough. Then, we were drinking. So you lost your ability to leave? His mouth opened. Closed. One of his friends stepped in again. Listen, he said, tone shifting now, a little more aggressive. Let's just fix this. You apologize. You help cover some of the legal costs. We move on. I blinked once. Slow. Legal costs? Evan didn't look at me when he spoke. Marcus is filing for divorce. I let out a small, disbelieving laugh. And that's my responsibility. How? You caused it. There it was again. The rewriting of reality. I took a step closer. Not aggressive, just enough to make sure he heard me clearly. No, I said quietly. You caused it when you walked into that house. Silence dropped between us. Heavy. Then the taller friend shifted his weight. You're making this harder than it needs to be. I glanced toward the front desk. The receptionist was watching now. Not openly, but enough. So were 2 security guards near the entrance. Good. I looked back at them. No, I said, you're making it obvious. Evan's eyes narrowed. What's that supposed to mean? I slipped my hand casually into my pocket. Pressed the screen. Still recording. It means, I said, you showing up here, at my workplace, trying to pressure me into paying for your consequences, doesn't look good. His friend scoffed. Who's going to care? I held his gaze. Security. Right on cue, one of the guards started walking over. Slow, professional, but very aware. Evan noticed. His posture shifted slightly. Less confident now. More cautious. We're just talking, he said quickly. I nodded. Then you're done. The guard stopped a few feet away. Everything okay here? I smiled politely. These gentlemen were just leaving. Evan stared at me for a second longer. Something flickered there. Anger. Embarrassment. Maybe even a hint of fear. This isn't over, he said. I didn't raise my voice. It is for me. Another pause. Then one of his friends muttered something under his breath, grabbed his arm, and started pulling him toward the exit. They left. No fight, no big scene. Just a slow retreat dressed up as dignity. The guard stayed a second longer. You good? I nodded. Yeah. He gave a small nod back, then walked off. I stood there for a moment, letting the quiet settle again. Then I turned, went back upstairs, closed my office door, and only then did I take my phone out of my pocket. The recording was still running. I stopped it, saved the file, named it simply Evan, Workplace Confrontation, because something told me this wasn't finished yet. My phone buzzed again. A message. Marcus. She's trying to say I'm unstable, that I overreacted. My lawyer needs anything that shows a pattern. Do you have more? I looked at the file in my hand, then at the screenshots from earlier, then back at the message. My reply was short. I do now. 3 dots appeared. Then, you have no idea how much this helps. I set the phone down slowly. For the first time that day, I felt it. Not anger, not satisfaction, just clarity. Because the truth was no longer hidden behind late-night text, weak excuses, and just a friend. My phone buzzed again. A new notification. Instagram. I opened it, and there it was. Evan, Chloe. A photo. Together. Smiling. Caption. Some people lose you. Some people find you. Grateful for what's real. I stared at it for a long second. Then I took a screenshot. Because if there was one thing I had learned in the last 12 hours, it was this. People like that don't just make mistakes. They commit to them publicly. And sooner or later, that always comes with a cost. That post lasted exactly 3 hours. Long enough to be seen. Long enough to spread. Long enough to turn into something they couldn't control anymore. At first, the comments were predictable. Heart emojis, fire emojis. A few so happy for you from people who clearly didn't know the full story. Then the shift started. One comment. Then another. Then 10 more. Isn't his wife pregnant? Wait, wasn't he just in a relationship? This is messy. And then someone tagged Marcus. That's when it broke. Because once the right person sees the truth, it doesn't stay contained. The comments multiplied faster than they could delete them. Home wreckers. She was literally at his house while his wife was working. There are screenshots. I watched it happen in real time. Didn't comment, didn't react, didn't intervene. Just observed. Because once truth is exposed, it moves on its own. By the time I refreshed the page again, the post was gone. Deleted. But screenshots don't disappear. And someone, definitely not me, sent everything to HR. Same company, different departments, very clear policy. If you're involved with a coworker, you disclose it. They didn't. And worse, the timestamps didn't lie. This wasn't new. This wasn't a one-night mistake. This had been going on for months. I found out the next morning. Not from them, from Evan. He called. I let it ring once, twice, 3 times. Then I picked up. Silence on the other end for a second. Then, Naomi. His voice was different now. Not confident, not sharp, not testing. Small. They suspended us. I leaned back in my chair. For what? You know for what. Say it. A pause. Then, quieter. HR got screenshots. I didn't respond. He kept going. They're saying we violated policy, that we didn't disclose the relationship. Relationship. Interesting choice of word. So you're admitting it was one, I said calmly. Another pause. Longer this time. That's not the point. It is, I said, because everything was finally aligning. The late nights, the constant messages, the just a friend. It had never been just anything. I need your help, he said suddenly. There it was, always circling back to that. What kind of help? With a lawyer. I almost laughed. With what money? You have savings. I let the silence stretch just long enough to make it uncomfortable. You want me to pay for your lawyer, I said slowly, because you got caught cheating. At work. With a married coworker, whose husband now has proof. It's not like that. It is exactly like that. His voice tightened. You didn't have to send those screenshots. And you didn't have to be there. Silence. Then, I made a mistake. I closed my eyes briefly. No, I said. You made a series of choices. That landed harder than anything else I'd said. Because people can forgive a mistake. A moment. A lapse. But a pattern is different. He exhaled sharply. She needs help too, he added quickly. Chloe's freaking out. She might lose her job. I tilted my head slightly, even though he couldn't see it. Then she should have thought about that before. You're being cold. I almost smiled. No, I'm being clear. Another silence. Then the frustration crept back in. You think you're better than us now? No, I said. I just didn't do what you did. That was the end of it. He hung up. No goodbye, no final word. Just the sound of the line going dead. I set my phone down, looked at the reflection of myself in the dark screen. Calm, composed, unmoved. But the day wasn't finished yet, because by the afternoon it got worse for them. HR moved fast. Faster than I expected. Both of them were called in. Separate meetings, same outcome. Suspension, pending investigation. And when companies use that phrase, it doesn't mean we're thinking about it. It means they already know. My phone buzzed again. This time, a message from Marcus. They contacted me, asked for a statement. I told them everything. I typed back, "Do you need anything else?" His reply came quickly. Just the Instagram screenshots, the ones from that night, with timestamps. My lawyer says they help establish a timeline. I sent them immediately, every single one. Delivered. Read. Then. You've been more help than you realize. I stared at that message for a second, because there was something strange about it. Not pride, not satisfaction, just a sense that the truth had finally found its place. That night, I checked Instagram one more time. Chloe had posted again. A long paragraph. Black background, white text. There are always two sides to every story. I didn't read the rest. Didn't need to, because people only write things like that when they're losing control of the narrative. And once that starts, it doesn't stop. The investigation didn't take long. It never does when the evidence lines up too cleanly. Timestamps, messages, security logs, expense reports, patterns. HR doesn't care about emotions. They care about consistency. And what Evan and Chloe had built over months wasn't a relationship. It was a paper trail. I found out on a Tuesday afternoon. Evan called again. I almost didn't pick up. But something told me this one would be different, I answered. He didn't even say my name this time. I got fired. Flat. Empty. No anger, no arrogance, no performance. Just the sound of someone hitting the ground after a long fall. For what? I asked, even though I already knew. A pause. Then, they said I misused company property. I leaned back slightly. How? Another pause. Conference rooms. I closed my eyes briefly. Of course. They said I was booking them after hours and using client budgets for dinners that weren't actually client dinners. Dates. He didn't say the word. He didn't have to. And Chloe? I asked. She's gone too. 4. Time fraud. I let out a slow breath. Clocking in, he said quickly, and then leaving early. To meet him. Of course. Everything connected. Every late meeting. Every work emergency. Every unexplained gap in his day. Not chaos. A system. I didn't say anything for a few seconds. He filled the silence. You're happy about this, aren't you? I looked out the window. Cars moving, people walking, life continuing like nothing had happened. No, I said honestly. I'm just not surprised. That hurt him more than if I'd laughed. I lost everything, he said. There it was again. The framing. As if everything had been taken from him. You spent everything, I replied quietly. Silence. Then, I'm staying with my mom. I nodded slightly, even though he couldn't see it. That makes sense. She's making me go to church, he added bitterly, telling everyone what I did. I almost smiled. Consequences don't always come from where you expect. Sometimes they come from the people who raised you. Naomi, he said again, different tone this time. Softer. I need help. I didn't respond, because I already knew what was coming. Just a little, until I get back on my feet. There it was. Always the same pattern. Break, apologize, ask. No, I said. Simple, clean, final. He inhaled sharply. So that's it? That's it. You're just going to watch me struggle? I tilted my head slightly. You mean the same way you watched me get disrespected? Silence. Then the call ended. No argument this time. No threats. Just nothing. I set my phone down. And for the first time since all of this started, it felt finished. But it wasn't. Because people like Evan don't stop when things fall apart. They escalate. 2 days later, he showed up at my door again. This time alone. I opened it halfway. Didn't invite him in. Didn't need to. He looked worse. Tired, unshaven, eyes hollow in a way that hadn't been there before. I need to tell you something, he said. I didn't respond. Just waited. He reached into his jacket pocket, pulled something out, held it up. A pregnancy test. 2 lines. Positive. I'm going to be a father, he said. The words hung there, heavy, designed to land, to shake me, to pull something out of me. Fear, guilt, responsibility, anything. I looked at the test, then at him. Congratulations, I said. His expression faltered. It's Chloe's. There it was. The play. I nodded slowly. When did she take that? This morning. Can I see it? He hesitated, just for a second, then handed it over. I held it carefully, looked at it, turned it slightly under the light. Then I reached for my phone, opened the browser, typed, image search, uploaded the photo, waited. 2 seconds. 3. Then, results. I turned the screen toward him. Same image, same test, same angle. From a Pinterest board. Creative Pregnancy Announcement Ideas 2019. Silence. His face drained of color. You're using stock photos now? I asked quietly. He grabbed the test back too quickly. That's not... It is. I stepped back slightly. creating space, closing the distance he was trying to force. "You're done," I said. He stood there for a second longer, caught, exposed. No angle left, no version of the story that worked. Then he turned and walked away. No threats, no insults, no final words, just gone. I closed the door, locked it, and leaned back against it for a moment. Because that was it. Not the cheating, not the job, not the public fallout. That was the moment everything collapsed. Because once someone starts lying like that, badly, desperately, transparently, it means they've run out of everything else. And when that happens, there's nothing left to rebuild. Everything settled faster than I expected. Not quietly, but completely. Like a storm that doesn't fade, it just ends, leaving everything exposed exactly as it is. Marcus's divorce finalized first. From what I heard, it wasn't even close. Between the financial records, the screenshots, and the timeline, there wasn't much room for interpretation. The house stayed with him. Full custody once the baby arrived, child support, spousal support for a limited time. Evan didn't just lose a relationship. He lost leverage. And without leverage, people like him don't have much left. I got an update a week later. A message from Marcus. She had the baby, a girl, both healthy. I smiled at that, not because of everything that had happened, but because something good had come out of it anyway. A clean start. For someone who actually deserved it. He sent one more message after that. Thank you for everything. I didn't respond right away. Some things don't need a reply. Meanwhile, Evan's situation kept getting smaller. That's the only way I can describe it. Smaller. He went from late nights and important meetings to overnight shifts at a grocery store. From driving across town to being driven by his mother. From control to routine. And the part that almost felt unreal? His own mother made sure everyone knew why. Family gatherings, church, neighbors. No hiding it. No softened version of the story. Just the truth, repeated until it stuck. Chloe didn't do better. If anything, she unraveled faster. No job, no stable place to stay. Burned bridges with friends who didn't want to be dragged into the fallout. I heard she tried to rebuild her image online. Long captions, filtered photos, phrases like growth, healings, lessons learned. But comments don't forget, and screenshots don't disappear. Every attempt to rewrite the story just pulled the original one back into the light. The last time I heard about her, she was commuting across 2 towns for a call center job. 3 buses. No car. No shortcuts left. And Evan? They didn't last. Of course they didn't. People who meet in secrecy don't suddenly become honest. They just run out of places to hide. I found that out through someone at my office. Apparently, they'd already broken up. Arguments. Blame. Same patterns. Different target. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't anything, really. Because by then, my life had already moved forward. Work got better. Quieter in a good way. I wasn't distracted anymore. Wasn't checking my phone late at night wondering who he was texting. Wasn't explaining away things that didn't make sense. Clarity does that. It gives you back time, energy, focus. I started seeing someone new a few months later. Not dramatic, not intense, not built on tension or guessing games. Just steady. The kind of connection that doesn't need to prove itself at 3 in the morning. He asked me once, casually, over coffee, "Do you ever hear from your ex?" I shook my head. Not anymore. That wasn't entirely true. There had been one last message, from a number I didn't recognize. "I know you hate me, but I did love you. That night was a mistake. I was just testing you." I read it once, then again. Same script. Different day. I replied. A real woman wouldn't be at another man's house at 3 a.m. Then I blocked the number. No follow-up. No second chance. No reopening something that had already ended exactly the way it was supposed to. Because that's the thing people don't understand about moments like that night. It wasn't when I lost him. It was when I saw him clearly. And once you see someone clearly, there's nothing left to fix. Nothing left to question. Nothing left to go back to. The funniest part? A few weeks after everything died down, a coworker showed me something on their phone. A meme. A fake pregnancy test image. The exact same one. Same angle. Same lighting. Captioned, "When he thinks you're still falling for it." I stared at it for a second, then handed the phone back. Because even that, even the lie he thought might pull me back in, had turned into something else. Not power. Not control. Just a joke. And that was the final shift. Not anger. Not revenge. Just distance. Clean, complete, permanent.